Hey everybody, Harold here, the third in my SQL PyR series comparing different functions, etc. in SQL, R, tidyverse, and pandas in Python. Today we're going to talk about running or cumulative totals and rolling or moving averages. This shows you kind of the pros and cons of using the functions in each language. Uh, but let's go start in R because again, that's where I got the data set. So here we are in our studio. First, we need to get some required packages. Tidyverse. The rolling totals aren't native tidyverse functions, so we need a couple other packages to do those. Zoo, which is a great package for working with time series. And you may have seen me use it for imputing missing values. It's great for that also. Slider and GT extras for the cool tables. So we used this data in the last video, but I'll show you how to get it again. It comes with the tidyverse. So view Lakers. Uh, it's a play-by-play, shot-by-shot account of the 2008-2009 LA Lakers season. I'm a big Laker fan. We are going to subset it. What I'm going to do is take the data just for Kobe Bryant and get his total points per game. So I take Kobe, that's Lakers. I'll pipe in. I want to select the date, the player, and the points. Pipe filter to Kobe Bryant, equal, equal. I'll group it by date, and then I'll summarize. Add a column that's saying summarize called total points. That's the sum of the points for that game. So let's run that. Now let's check out the head. And we've got date and total points, so that worked. Again, I don't like this date format, so I'm going to use Lubridate YMD. Lubridate comes with a tidyverse, great for handling dates. And I want to say head Kobe again. And now I got a nice clean uh, little data frame table here showing date and total points. So running totals and not just sum. There's great tidyverse functions, and they all start with cum for cumulative. So you can say Kobe pipe and do a mutate statement. We're adding 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 new columns. Points to date, cum sum, total points. We're going to do average points to date. Cum mean, total points. Get where we're going. Max points to date is cum max, total points. That should show you the most points he scored up to that date, and if he scores higher, it should change to that. The opposite would be for min points to date, cum min total points. And they also have a product, not something I use a lot, but there is cum prod, so it'll multiply them. First game times second game times third game. And then I piped in the GT table theme dark. So let's run that, see what we got. So we have a date, total points 23, points to date 23. So this is cumulative sum, running total 23 plus 16 is 39, plus 33 is 72, so that looks good. Uh, Average or mean, it's going to say his cumulative average was 23. Then it went to what, 39, so the average is 19.5, 72, 24. So that's working. First day he scored 23 for max points, and that was his max points until he scored 33 and 35 and so on until he got 61, and that was the most he scored that season. His min points went from 23 down to 16. And he had an 10-point game, and that was the lowest for the season. Uh, and product quickly gets very large into the E numbers here. Again, not something I use commonly, but it is out there. So there are your running totals. Uh, rolling totals, like I said, we need these zoo package for the first example here. I'm going to give you two different ways to do it, and I'm going to tell you the pros and cons. So in zoo, they have what's called roll apply. So if I want to get 3-game rolling total of the previous 2 games plus the game you played today, I'll say Kobe, pipe, add a new column using mutate. Points to date equals roll apply. And then the arguments there are what column do you want to apply it to, what your window size is with width, 3. So I need 2 plus current is 3. What your function you want to apply is, I want to do a sum. If they're empties, fill them with NA. Align right is your window direction. Uh, so right will give you 2 preceding and current with 2 NAs at the top. Left will give you the current and 2 following with 2 NAs at the bottom. And center will give you the current plus 1 preceding and 1 following. So my first one I wanted right because I want previous 2 plus current. So let's run the first one and then I'll show you how it changes. So this is align equals right. So I don't get an average, I don't get a points to date until the 3rd game because there were no 2 preceding. That's align right. So I have 2 NAs at the top. But you see 23, 16, 33 is 72. But you see 23 plus 16 is 33, so it's 72. Now it's going to start rolling. So it'll take 23 off for 49, add 27 to get 76, and so on. So it's now a 3-day rolling. If I change a line to left, it starts with a 3-day at the top, 23, 16, and 33. It's going to go ahead and do it for you, even though these games aren't up here. Because that's the. So if I change to left, it's going to start with the current and give me the 2 following. So 23 and 16 and 33 is 23 and 16 and 33 is 72. And I get the 2 NAs at the bottom because there are no 2 following. And I can then also center the window. And it's going to do 23, 16, and 33 is 72, but it's taking the one before, the one after, and the current one. So it's not going to have that on the first row or the last row because there's no one before and no one after. So that's roll apply. You can change the function to mean so on and so forth. Oh, let's see. To mean, you can do min and max also. Rolling window of min and max is kind of silly though. Uh, you can also use in Zoo roll sum. There's also max, mean, and median. So instead of roll apply with the function, you just use roll function. So is for instance roll sum. So I can say Kobe mutate points to date equals roll sum. Total points. K is your window size in this one. Fill is NA. I want to fill with NA again. And the line, it's the same deal as before, left, right, or center. We'll just do right for this one. Uh, so here's roll sum, right? So two NAs, and it starts summing in a 3-day window, current and two preceding. Here's roll max. Again, I don't know why you would want to do that, but there you go. That's align center. Uh, do roll mean align center. Do roll median align center. All those seem to be working well. There is no roll min. I don't know why. Okay. Now for the slider package, kind of the same thing. So use slider slide. Kobe mutate points to date. Create a new column called points to date. And it's slide data type. So there's slide double, slide in, etc., etc. Total points, tilde sum dot x. Dot before is 2, so you want 2 windows before. This is your window size. Dot complete equals true. Keep NAs, false, complete without NAs. And then my table function. So let's see how that runs. I'm going to sum with a 2 before window in the current row. So it's not going to do the 2 before. It is going to roll 3 window average. So we can also do mean, uh, median, and max. We could do after. So it's switched to the NAs at the bottom. So it's the 2 current and 2 after. We could say false here on complete. And then the NAs are not there. It just carries out the last one to the end. So you can complete it with the one before or after. Let's change this to before and show what that looks like. Before a complete equals true, there was 2 NAs at the top. Now it's just going to give me, it's going to go ahead and do that average, that mean, even though there's only 2 of them. Without it, it would just put NAs. So that's cumulative and moving, rolling totals and averages in our tidyverse. Real quick, use slider when you need. It's better with the tidy. Works better with the tidyverse. Center rolling windows, and you get more control over incomplete windows. You can do this here where it'll do the 2 on the average, not just fill with NAs. Uh, roll apply is better for larger data sets. It's simpler for the rolling calculations, and it supports irregularly spaced data. So if there was gaps, it'd be okay. And that is it for the R portion. And let's move on to Python and SQL. So here we are in SQL Server. Um, got the Kobe database used last time. And I'll put it in my GitHub repository and you can import it. So let's just run select all star from Kobe so we can take a look at it. And there we have date total points. Um, rolling and running totals, probably the hardest we've done so far, just because they've got a lot of different options and syntaxes in all three applications. So the Windows syntax, let's go over this first. You always do it in the order it occurs. So you say rows or range, and I'll tell you rows just goes row by row. Range will group by date or numerical value. I'll show you that in a minute. And you always say something like, you're going to go backwards. You say unbounded preceding to go back to the front. Then, if you don't want to go all the way to the front, you do a number preceding. If you want the row you're on, it's the current row. You could do a certain number of following, like 2 following. If you want to go all the way to the end, you go to unbounded following. But preceding has to be before current, has to be before following, has to be before following. So when a regular's window aggregate sum function is actually saying, like, or we said sum total points over and no argument. Well, the default argument really is rows between unbounded preceding and unbounded following, the whole range, the whole data frame, unless you had a partition, it would stop at the partition. So we run this and it just sums all the points and puts it in one column. If you want to do running or rolling, you can use variations of rows and range to accomplish this. So I can say for running total, cumulative, select date, total points, and then the sum of total points over order by date, rows between unbounded preceding. That's the beginning because I have no partitions in the current row. So add up to date, cumulative, as running total points from Kobe. So it's adding them. 23 and 16 is 39, and 33 is 72, and 27 is 99, and so forth. Uh, you can also do the same thing with average, max, and min. Let's start with average. So if I run this, I'm not going to change that. It says min total. This is our average. Min, well, let's do that. So average total points over between unbounded preceding current row is average total points. It's really running total points. Running average. All right. So we'd say select date, total points, average total points over order by date, rows between unbounded preceding the beginning and the current row, and that's running average total points. You could do min, min, running min. It'll give you the lowest to date. 16 was lowest, 12, and then 10 was the lowest, so that's the end. So every time there's a lower one, it changes to that. You can do the same with max. So once it gets to the 61, that should stay at that value for the rest of the frame. 61 and it holds. If you want to do running totals, that's where you set a window on either side or both sides for your rolling or moving totals. So I want to show the total points he scored over the last 3 days on a rolling basis. So I'd say select date, total points, sum total points over order by date, and then I want rows between the two preceding and the current rows. So the day before, the game before, the game before that, and the current game. It's 3-day rolling points. So it's going to start and say the first one was 23, and then it's going to add those two. 72 is the first 3 days. 76 is 72 minus 23 plus 27. So it's a 3-day rolling. If I wanted to use following, I could do yesterday, today, and tomorrow basically by saying order by date rows between one preceding and one following. So one day before, today, and tomorrow. Run that. Uh, so it's day preceding, today, and tomorrow. That's a moving average. So you can see you can adjust your windows, current and following, all kinds of variations. Just adjust your window and make sure they're in order for your moving average and your rolling totals. But so before you could use range, I've only been using rows so far. Let me show you range. For this, I'm going to insert into Kobe. We're going to say there was a doubleheader on October 28th. Never happens in the NBA, but for our purposes. So let's run that. One row affected. Let's check it out. Select all from Kobe. 1028. It's no order in sequels, so it's stuck it at the bottom. 1028, 21 points. Okay. Now, if I select um, rows between unbounded preceding and current row, 1028 will have two entries ordered by date. If I select range to group 1028 into one entry ordered by date. So let's run that and see. See, we did rows between unbounded and range between unbounded preceding and current row. So that's going to be running total points. One's going to have one entry for 1028, and one's going to have two entries for 1028. Let's run that. So running total points, rows, both the 1028s are on there. First one's 23, and it adds 21 to make 44. Range, that's only going to give me all the points he scored on that day because I've restricted it with the range to a date range. So both those values are going to be 44, and then we'll keep going. So that's the difference between rows and range. And here's one you can only do with range, or you wouldn't want to do with rows. If you just want to get all the points Kobe scored on that day, when there's more than one game, you could say range between current row and current row, and it restricts it to one row. So 1 day range, 44 on the 28th, and so on and so forth. Yep, I don't like that in there. I'm going to take that back out. And that is it for SQL. And now for the Python Pandas portion of the video. First, I'm in VS Code, Jupyter Notebook, Python kernel 3.9.13. First, we need to install the necessary packages, so pandas and NumPy. For this one, we're going to need NumPy. Okay. Uh, we wrote that Kobe data to CSV and R, so let's read the CSV back into Python. So Kobe equals pd.read CSV in your file path. Kobe.head to show the first few rows. There it is. Again, we have that ugly date format. So let's format the date for readability. We'll say Kobe date equals PD to date time. Kobe date format %y year %m month %d day. And we'll Kobe head again. So that looks better. Uh, Cumulative totals, running totals. There's a cum function in pandas, just like in our tidyverse. It covers sum, max, min, and they have a prod for cumulative product. So I say Kobe, column I want, running points. That's my new column, equals Kobe total points, the column I'm looking at. And then you just say dot cum sum for running total, dot cum max for running max. It'll always show the highest one to date. Dot cum min for running min. Always show the lowest one to date. And dot cum prod for cumulative product, which quickly gets out of hand. I don't normally use this, but it's there. You'll notice cum mean is missing. I'll get to that in a second. Let me run these and then show Kobe. So date, total points, running points, 23, 39, 23 plus 16 plus 33, 72. That's working fine. Running max is 23 until he scored 33, and then we know 61 was his highest, and that's to the end. Running min, 23 down to 16 and down to that lowest of 10. Running prod uh, is working. It quickly gets out of hand, goes into scientific notation, and starts returning 0 when it can't handle it, but it's doing it. Uh, so those are the cums for your runnings. Pretty simple. They don't have mean, but there is another function you can use to do all these. Uh, Expanding, you can use functions with it, or you can create your own apply functions from somewhere else. So if I wanted to do uh, running cumulative mean and cumulative median, here's how I would do it. I'd say Kobe's expanding mean, new column equals Kobe total points dot expanding dot mean. Now there is no median in that, so you have to use median from NumPy. But to get that one, you do Kobe expanding median equals Kobe total points dot expanding dot apply, and then you can apply whatever you want. So we'll use NumPy's median function, and then we'll look at Kobe again. So this is a rolling mean, a running mean, and this is a running median. The mean is over one game here, 2 games, so on and so forth. So that's how you do uh, running totals, cum and expanding. A real quick, use cum when you want quick cumulative sum, max, min, or product. Use expanding when you want other custom functions or to set a minimum number of values to use in your calculation. We'll talk about that in the min period arg and the rolling functions below. So let's go into rolling and moving. Add a column showing Kobe's total points in a 3-day window. Well, there is a function called rolling in Pandas. So we can say Kobe rolling points. It's a new column. Take it from Kobe total points dot rolling. I want the window equals 3, and I want a sum. So a 3-day rolling sum of Kobe's points. And then we'll look at Kobe. So rolling points. It won't do it for the first two. When it hits the third day, it starts doing it. We know 72. Then it took off 23 and added 39 and so on and so forth. So that's the rolling sum with a 3-day window, 3-game window, 3-row window. I shouldn't say day every time. Uh, if you Let's do moving average. So add a column showing Kobe's moving average points in a 3-row window. In the min period of 3, this is where I said I would explain the min period arguments. It says don't start calculating the mean until you have 3 rows of values. So let me get that back to 3 here real quick. So let's run that. So up here in expanding, you can do that. In Cum, you can't. Cum will start at the beginning on a mean and keep going, even though there's not any rows before it if you had preceding window. So let's run this one. So rolling mean, minute periods, it's not going to count any mean until it gets to the third period. So you have more control with rolling and expanding. So now it's going to roll after the third period. So if I change that back to 1, it starts with a rolling mean. And even though you want it over a 3-day window, it's going to throw the first 2 in there. It's 23, and then the average is 19.5, and then it gets to a 3-day window. So the last thing is the align argument. We saw this in R. In Pandas, you can align your window either center or right. Right would be the NAs at the beginning, current and 2 preceding. So you'd have 2 NAs at the beginning. Center sets align center. You'd have 1 NA at the beginning, 1 at the end. That's your windows, the current row, and 1 preceding and 1 following. So let's run it on center. Window equals 3, center equals true on mean. So center, we're going to have the 1 NA, and then it's going to start doing the rolling mean, and then we'll have the NA in at the bottom also. If I change it to right, center equals right. No, I'm sorry. If I say it to center equals false, that's a right on. That's the default. You get the 2 at the top, and then it starts calculating. So that is it for rolling, running, cumulative, moving averages, means, and totals in SQL, Python, and R. I hope you enjoyed them. This is about it for window functions. I think I'll do joins next. So I hope you like this video. Please like and subscribe, and I hope you join me for the next one. Thanks, everybody.